The V12 Beast and a mansion with Instagram-worthy views.
You don't even have Instagram.
Imagine seeing the city skyline from my bedroom, watching MasterChef SA while I have my very own MasterChef in my kitchen. Forget the queues at the cinema. I'd have one in my crib, Joe. I'm talking 7.1 surround sound and a 120-inch 8K TV whilst I'm sipping on some grapes. I'm talking luxury, Ntwana. What do you know about that? Let me school you, bro. Tune into Dubai, Buying the Dream, Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. on S3, and channel your inner luxury. Only on S3. Open up.
Another day, another set of challenges. In a world driven by shifting demands, environment, social and governance, what guides your decision-making? We need a new generation of ethical leaders who have their eye on the bigger picture, who are not daunted by change, but inspired by it. Let Wits Business School guide your leadership journey. With our postgraduate programs, you can play a role in Africa's sustainable future. Apply today and make 2025 your year of impact. Visit wbs.ac.za for more.
Weeknights on S3 are anything but ordinary. BBC Primetime brings you the best of British television from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Open your mind to Life on Death Row, Thursdays at 9 p.m. and Resistance in a Hostile Environment, a 3-part documentary showcasing turning points which would go on to define race relations in the UK for a generation. Thursdays at 10 p.m. Wind down your weeknights with The Outlaws, Fridays at 9 p.m. and explore the world's most dangerous roads at 10 p.m. Channel your best entertainment with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
S3. The varsity derby between Amatak's ladies and UWC ladies will display who are the brighter students. UWC target the top spot, while Amatak's want to break into the top 3. This is the Hollywood Best Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. University of Pretoria Ladies FC versus University of the Western Cape Ladies FC on Sunday, 15 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m.
Well, that brings us up to 1 o'clock, but just a quick reminder, as you've heard in the news, President Cyril Ramaphosa has also paid his tribute to late former Minister Pravin Gordhan, and he did this speaking during the signing ceremony of the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill in Pretoria today. But that's where we have to leave it. It is 1 o'clock. Have a fantastic weekend. Hope to have you back with us here on Monday. It's 1 o'clock. Here's Mudupi Mahalimere with your latest news.
Thank you very much, SK. The top stories at 1. Pravin Gordhan to be laid to rest next week, and Ramaphosa signs the Bella Bill into law. A very good afternoon. The late former Cabinet Minister Pravin Gordhan will be laid to rest next Thursday in an official state funeral in Durban. He died early this morning following a battle with cancer. The Ahmed Kathrada Foundation's Nishan Bolton briefed the media on the funeral arrangements at the Nelson Mandela Foundation in Joburg.
The funeral will take place on Thursday in Durban, and it will be an official funeral. It will be followed by a private cremation after the funeral itself. But that further details on this would be forthcoming from government and particularly from the presidency, but it's happening in Durban on Thursday.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed the Basic Education Laws Amendment, or the Bella Bill, into law. Speaking at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, Ramaphosa said that Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwagube has committed to implementing the bill despite her protestation to the signing of the bill in its current state. Ramaphosa says he will allow a process of consultation for concerned parties regarding some clauses of the bill.
I have committed to the people of South Africa that I am signing the bill today. But I have also said, I am hearing you. I am listening to what you are saying. And in the spirit of cooperation and meaningful engagement, I cannot say no to engagement even at this late hour. I have to say, if you do believe that these challenges can be resolved, I am going to sign the bill to give a clear message to the people of South Africa that we are proceeding with the transformation of our education system.
Ramaphosa also says that the full act will be implemented in 3 months from the date of the signing, following consultations with the aggrieved parties.
Implementation on signing should start immediately. However, I have said as President, I've decided to delay the implementation for clauses 4 and 5 of the bill by a period of 3 months. The rest of the act is implemented immediately. For 3 months, I allow 4 and 5 to have those engagements. This will give the parties time to deliberate on these issues and make proposals on how the different views may be accommodated.
The presiding judge in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has ordered that 2 more ballistic experts be called to the stand. The witnesses confirmed Colonel Chris Mangena's findings linking one of the accused to the Meyiwa murder. 5 men are on trial for the 2014 killing of the Bafana Bafana captain. Judge Ratamo Khatleng says the witnesses should be cross-examined on their written statements. He has adjourned the case to Wednesday next week, as the witnesses will only be available then.
I see the act says they must be subpoenaed.
Yes, indeed, my lord.
Not ordered.
Should the court be inclined
Yeah, I'm going to grant the
grant the request?
The application, because in this court, every piece of evidence must be traversed, so that nobody says, again, if we are going to. Yeah, I see it says subpoenaed, but
yes.
Look, I've got to issue an order.
And Russia has revoked the accreditation of 6 British diplomats, accusing them of spying. The FSB Security Service says they were part of an effort to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia. The announcement was made on the day that the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is due to meet with the US President Joe Biden at the White House. More from the BBC's Charles Haviland.
Russian public television has shown footage purporting to show the British diplomats leaving the country. The FSB Security Service accused the 6 of carrying out subversive activities, part of what it called the multiple unfriendly acts of London. On Thursday, President Putin warned Western governments not to let Ukraine target Russia with Western arms, saying that would change the very essence of the conflict there. Keir Starmer insisted Kiev had the right to defend itself, but added he did not in the slightest seek conflict with Moscow.
The top story at 1 o'clock, the late former Cabinet Minister Pravin Gordhan will be laid to rest next Thursday in an official state funeral in Durban. For SAFM News, ke Modupi Makgalemele.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to celebrate the rich tapestry of our nation's diverse cultures. From the vibrant beats of our traditional music to the flavors of our unique cuisines, every culture tells a story of strength, unity, and identity. We honor the heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom, reminding us that our shared heritage is what makes us strong. Together as one, we celebrate who we are because our culture is our identity. This Heritage Month, let's celebrate every culture, every story, and every voice. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I'll be there for you. 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 Your lover and your friend. I'll be there for you. I'll be there till the end. I'll be there for you. When things are up or down, I'll be there for you. Baby, I'll be around. When you're lonely, come over, take my hand. Got a problem, I'll try to understand. Girl, just call me and I will run to you. Leave you hanging, no, I would never do. Baby, look in my eyes. I won't tell you no lies. I love you forever. Girl, I know that we were meant to be together. I'll be there for you, standing right by your side. I'll be there for you. Dry your tears when you cry. I'll be there for you. When things are up or down, I'll be there for you. Baby, I'll be around. When your family only makes you tense, and your friends ain't giving you confidence. When you're tired, girl, I can take the weight. Need some extra time, I won't stay up late. When I look in your eyes, I know I've got a prize, and I wanna keep her. Every day I'm with you, girl, I love you deeper. I'll be there for you, more than just a lover and your friend. I'll be there for you. You know that I'll be there till the end. I'll be there for you. Never want you feeling lonely. I'll be there for you, 'cause you are my one and only. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for always. I'll be there for you, the good and bad days. I'll be there for you. Baby, you and me together. I'll be there for you. I'll be loving you forever. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. La 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 la. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. I'll be there. I'll be there for you. Always and forever, baby. I'll be there for you. Yeah, you know that you're my lady. I'll be there for you. And I promise, yes I do. There's one thing that you can count on to be true. I'll be there for you. La 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 la. La la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la. La 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 la.
It is a Friday afternoon, and that is how we kick off a Friday from our side, of course, featuring those nostalgic, soulful sounds of a tortured soul, and they come out of Brooklyn, New York, and they're quite the fabulous ensemble, been at it for a while now. And I think, at some point, either earlier this year or perhaps even last year, there was talks around some new music, perhaps. I'm not too sure, but I think I heard
that kind of rumblings. And if memory serves, we have so many conversations on this show, but if memory serves correct, last year, I think we did speak to one of the members of Tortured Soul. I think so. I have this recall of having this conversation. I think we did, if I'm not mistaken. My team will correct me if I'm wrong. But good afternoon to you. I hope that you are having a good day. It's the week wrap-up. It's been a long but short week, if that makes sense. Long in the sense that there's been so much to do. Short from the perspective that there just weren't enough hours in the day to get everything done. But we find ourselves wrapping it up now this Friday afternoon. And we're going to endeavor to do exactly that. As you know, how we do it on a Friday here on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. We take things nice and easy, take things nice and slow. We like to use the term that siyakekeleza on a Friday, and today is absolutely no different at all. And we're going to be talking matters of fashion and exploring everything that's happening at the Free State fashion scene. The more we do the show, and there's a slight bias because one of my producers is from the Free State, so the more we do the show, the more we realize just how much is being activated in the Free State around arts and culture, right? And so we're tapping into that and exploring what's happening in the fashion scene today. We also are going to be talking around, some SA-born free musicians that are excelling after the democratic breakthrough. Music has done some interesting things in the last couple of years. There's been different eras of music in South Africa over the last 30 years since 1994. And each era has brought its own sort of texture and tapestry to the scene. And of course, what we've seen in the last 5 years, even 3 years after COVID, has just completely turned the South African music scene upside down. And we're going to be having that conversation on stages, pages, screens, and more. Coming up on the other side of 2 o'clock, we are joined by media mogul, businesswoman, lifestyle entrepreneur. She's got so many slashes to her name, humanitarian. Carol Bauer is going to be in studio. And of course, you know that she's also the Miss World South Africa pageant title holder. So she's got the license to that pageant, and this is the second year that they're pulling off the showcase. Of course, we're going to touch on that. She's coming through after 3 o'clock, and we're going to have our lines open for that conversation if you want to chime in or perhaps reminisce about the times when she used to be on SABC1 as a presenter, and of course her stint on Generations as an actress. Like I said, she's got so many slashes to her name. But we cannot obviously go further in the show without recognizing the fact that today we got confirmation of the passing of South African political stalwart and former minister Pravin Gordhan, who passed away after a short battle with cancer. And so we send our condolences and our prayers of strength and comfort and love to his family, his friends, his comrades, and of course the organization of which he dedicated most of his life work to, the African National Congress. It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM.
This September, S3 brings you thought-provoking nature dockies that will change the way in which you view the world. Prince William embarks on a global mission to ensure our world is left in a better place for future generations, championing action for the natural world and showcasing pioneering local heroes. Prince William, A Planet for Us All, airs Sunday the 15th of September. Channel your inner activist with our selection of premium dockies Sundays at 5 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Kickstart your journey to success in 2025 with the Durban University of Technology. DUT offers programs in the faculties of Accounting and Informatics, Applied Sciences, Arts and Design, Engineering and the Built Environment, Health Sciences and Management Sciences, open for applications for 2025. Applications close on 30th September 2024, but dates may vary. Visit dut.ac.za for a full list of available programs and entry requirements. Apply now through the Central Applications Office by visiting cao.ac.za.
Powerball is estimated at a staggering 106 million rand jackpot this Friday. Could luck be knocking on your door? Play Powerball for an estimated 106 million rand today and stand a chance to bag the life-changing jackpot. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, push up, play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. eTuba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
After cutting the Buccaneers' continental journey short last season, Botswana Giants, Jwaneng Galaxy, want to make beating the black and white outfit a good habit. They meet again, but Sir Rivero's boys land to take full control at Botswana National Stadium. This is the second preliminary round of the Total Energies CAF Champions League. Experience great vibes of African football. Jwaneng Galaxy FC versus Orlando Pirates FC. This Saturday, 14 September at 4 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, as we get into our conversation with the creative director of the Free State Fashion Week, he himself, by the way, also being a radio personality, and we're joined by Nkokeli Lindazwe, a.k.a. Nkox. Nkox, that was it. Yes, Nkox. Okay, as in Nkokeli. And he's the man behind the Free State Fashion Week by way of being the creative director. Like I was saying, there's so much happening in the Free State, and one would never think of it, especially those who don't come from the Free State, those of us who just drive through the Free State on our way to some other place.
I actually get that a lot, from people in Joburg, Cape Town, Durban. They always ask me, like, what happens in the Free State? It's almost like they treat it, like you're saying, as a town where you just pass over. And there's a lot happening in the Free State. And it's actually quite sad because a lot of talent, I mean, you were mentioning earlier, your producer, one of your producers is from the Free State. There's a lot of people within the media industry that are from the Free State, in front of screen, behind the scenes. It's just that I think we're also quite... modest in the Free State. I think there's a modest culture. Even when you go to places like Bloemfontein, Kroonstad, Welkom, you'll notice there's a sense of humility. We don't boast about much. So I think that culture is transcended across. So unlike other regions, we don't shout the loudest about where we come from,
Don't throw shade at KZN.
No,
you shout the loudest.
Look, it's also not a bad thing, by the way. It's not a bad thing. I think KZN people are really big on that. I know Limpopo people are also very big on that. Joburg, Gauteng's, they're even out there more than anyone. But I just think in the Free State, we also, I actually am from the view that we should be, because through us being loud about where we come from, is where we dispel the myths and the lack of information about the regions, right? So if you know that, for instance, renowned broadcaster or whatever is from the Free State, you kind of have a keen interest as to, what happens there? I mean, just top of my mind, a person like news anchor Tembekile Mkhototo, for example, he's from the Free State. He's from Bloemfontein. Yeah, he's from Bloemfontein.
To tell him to be a bigger ambassador.
You get what I'm saying? And there's a lot. There's absolutely a lot of them. And I think it's just, again, it's our humility that we don't shout the loudest about where we come from,
Yeah.
So I think that's a problem. I think we need to fix it.
If you're live streaming on the show today, you can see that the KZN body language in me is saying, excuse us. Like, what is all this conversation about humility of the people of the Free State?
Yeah.
Hey, excuse us for being boisterous and having all this bravado as KZN people. No, but it's also really exciting. It's really exciting because, like I said, there seems to be this energy, particularly around arts and culture. I mean, one of my favorite people is Napo, who is an
Napo
artist.
Mashiane.
Yes, and she's an artistic practitioner.
Yeah.
And she's activating also in the Free State in the
100%.
most impressive ways in her spaces in the theatre. And this energy that almost has found a new birth almost. Where is this sort of resurgence coming from? Because I feel as if it's not a thing that maybe we are just perceiving. Without being in the Free State, a part of me feels as though you would concur that there's a reinvigoration of arts and culture.
Not necessarily.
No?
Here's what I think is the issue, right? The saying, if a tree falls in the forest, did it really fall?
Uh-huh.
And I think that's fundamentally been our problem in the Free State, is that we haven't necessarily been documenting and somewhat publicizing, ourselves. Our PR is terrible as a province, to be honest with you, unlike provinces such as KZN, which are quite, if you think about KZN from back in the day, the PR around KZN has always been great, around the arts particularly, to a point where I think a lot of provinces are somewhat referenced what KZN government has done to sort of support the arts. For us, it took longer because I think, just to reference our government in the province, for the longest of time, the arts were sort of something that is like the last in the priorities list.
By the way
type of situation. But to the credit of the arts practitioners, they never let that deter them. There's a lot of people who paved the way. One I'd like to mention is a renowned actor, for example, Mr. Tony Khoroge. Everyone knows Tony Khoroge. He's one of the guys, since back in the day, they've been, starting organizations that paved the way. I need to also mention Napo Mashiane. They've also been quite active in creating a space and scenes back home for artists to be able to thrive. And guys like me, I've also, played my part in terms of creating platforms around the arts. I've done quite a lot. I've shot movies. I've done events, and part of the premise around that was because I'm from there, I understand that as a young person within the arts from the space, it's very difficult to have reference points to say, oh yeah, I want to be like Sis Bridget, because I can see what Sis Bridget does on SAFM every day, right? But like in the Free State, it's quite difficult to say, oh yeah, I want to be a cameraman, I want to be a cinematographer, I want to be an art director, right? Because those things are not things that you see on a daily basis. And those are some of the things that drove me to create some of these platforms, so that these guys can actually see that it's possible to do it there without necessarily migrating to other provinces. So it has always been there in the Free State. I think the issue has always been we're not necessarily amplifying our PR as a province. And part of the reason why we're having this chat today is part and parcel of us moving in that direction. And I'll also give credit to even the new government now. I think they've realized that there's actually value in us, amplifying what we are currently doing, because it also speaks to the tourism of the province. I mean, if you as Bridget don't see any activity from the Free State, you have no interest in going there. What are you going to do in the Free State?
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest marketing I think that the Free State got was back in the days of Isidingo. And we used to talk about Tabanchu.
Tabanchu, yeah.
And I always wanted to go to Tabanchu.
You understand?
Because Zebedia and Mum, what was her
Mum
name?
Agnes.
Mum Agnes were always talking about Tabanchu.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fashion scene. Listen, if you're listening and you're from the Free State, by the way, I'm not throwing any dark shade on the Free State. It's, these are illuminating conversations. But you also never think Free State and think fashion capital of South Africa. So let's talk about
Bridget. There's only so many disses I could take from you in one day. You've been dissing the Free State since I got here. It's enough now.
It's all love. Let's talk about your fashion week. Is this it's not new?
Definitely not. Free State Fashion Week Started back when, I think in 2016. It's been a while.
Okay.
It's been a while. Even before I joined, I used to be someone who attends, and it started by a lady called Candy Smith from Velcom. She's a fashion designer by profession, businesswoman, very well-respected businesswoman in the Free State. But she had a passion for fashion, and she started Free State Fashion Week. And if I were to tell you the conversation I had with her, because I asked her, I was like, what made you start this thing, right? And I remember, luckily enough, I was there, I think, for the first 3 fashion weeks, just as a person attending. And I can tell you, she alluded to the fact that, look, Ngox, I didn't know what I was doing. I knew I had a passion for this thing, and I knew what I had seen with other fashion weeks, just having been attending. I was like, why can't we do the same? And again, alluding to the earlier point I made, to say we need to create these platforms at regional levels so that people within the spaces also have references or reference points that they can say, oh yeah, actually I can also do this, because a lot of talent is lost along the way because there's no reference points. So Free State Fashion Week has been there for a while now, and it's been a catalyst in Free State fashion. And I think when you speak of Free State fashion, we also are within the space. I mean, a guy like House of Ole, for instance, he's a guy from Bloemfontein. He started as a model, and just to give you a reference that is known at a national scale, again, I think maybe to our detriment, we are quite modest as Free State people. So maybe you might not have known that Ole is from there.
I did not know.
You understand? So there are people from various regions that have dominated the space. I mean, Orapileng Mudutle, for example, is from Kimberley. And you might also ask the question, is there even fashion in Kimberley? But when you look at Orapileng's, garments and portfolio, it's amazing. Yeah. Right? And I think that the crux again, and I'll keep on referring to this, Bridget, is that we need to create such platforms and support and endorse these platforms, because it's not for all of us to migrate to the bigger city.
Yeah.
And even if we do, right, there's not enough space for all of us to coexist at the SA Fashion Week, for example. So what happens to us then in that instance? It means then we need to make sure that there's an industry, even at a regional level, that speaks to the national industry. And then that's how industries are actually formulated and formalized.
Absolutely. Okay, let's take a quick pause here, and then we'll come back on the other side of past and steal a few more minutes and just delve a little bit more into the Free State Fashion Week. It is 1:30. Madupi Mekhelemele is standing by with the headline news.
Thank you very much, Sister Bridge, and a very good afternoon. In your headlines, Asawa, the late former Cabinet Minister Pravin Gordhan will be laid to rest next Thursday in an official state funeral in Durban. Teachers in the Western Cape have begun their protests against the proposed 2,400 job cuts announced by the provincial government, and former Botswana President Ian Khama has appeared before the Gaborone Magistrates Court. Details of these and other stories coming up 2 o'clock.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM on this fine Friday afternoon, and we're hanging out with the creative director of the Free State Fashion Week, Nkokeli Lindazwe, is joining us now. All right, so we've established that there is a robust fashion scene happening in the Free State. Let's talk about the impact of having something like the Free State Fashion Week, and straddled to it, is it also attached to a fashion school?
100%. So the Free State Fashion Week is owned by the Free State Fashion Hub. Free State Fashion Hub owns a fashion school. Okay. So as you can see, all those things are inextricably linked and they make sense for each other. So the fashion school is accredited by CETA, I think NQF level 1 to 4. So it's pretty basic learning. It's sort of introductory courses to the fashion industry.
Okay.
And it's quite, it was a deliberate stance. The way they teach, these designers is they take it primitive, and then they they bring them to the modern side of doing things.
What's
so that
primitive?
So primitive, for instance, the way they sew, right? The type of sewing machines that they use are not necessarily the modern ones, for example, deliberately, so that these people know how to hand stitch, for example, for themselves. They're not heavily reliant on the technology. And then you also then move into, not to say they don't use the modernized stuff, but then they also use that to make sure that you come in as someone who is equipped on both ends, on either ends. Because you know what normally happens within the fashion space or the designing space is that the modern day designer is heavily in fact, the modern day designer does not even touch a sewing machine, in fact. I don't know if you know that. You know, so you get a sense. I think you have more value as a designer if you actually know every aspect of your business, like any other business. So we equip them with those skills. So the fashion school, we then have the fashion week, right? And the premise of the fashion week for us as the Free State Fashion Week is essentially talent development. We're big on that. We realize that for us, we've tried the model. As I said, we've been in existence for some time now. We've tried the model of inviting established, you know, fashion designers. Your Johan Coutiers have come through and showcased and even held workshops and stuff. But for us, it's more so on, it comes across as though we're somewhat doing what the SA Fashion Week is doing to a certain degree, all right? We are a Free State Fashion Week. Our job is to make sure that we showcase what is the Free State fashion has to offer.
But I mean, there's value to bringing established, you know, you speak of Khat, who, by the way, attended a fashion school college in Klerksdorp. You'd never think.
100%.
But a lot of the most respected couturiers in the country, the Nell Boters of the world, all come out of that school.
True.
You know, and so Klerksdorp, another place where you would not think would be the hub of churning out South African couturiers at a top-notch level. What I'm trying to say is, but there's in the building of your own talent and supporting your own talent, there's value in bringing the expertise of people who've created businesses and understand the business from a 360 model, and also understand the technicalities, because there's a difference between being a dressmaker, a fashion designer, and a couturier.
100%, and a business owner too.
Yes,
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, and we've somewhat refined our model now, right? We still have help from industry experts. What we've done now, we've formalized, you know, our fashion week now. We just got an MOU in place now with a stakeholder, a banking stakeholder, who's also come in at a level of developing these designers to say, okay, but what happens after the fashion week? What happens if someone attending, Bridget, is saying, oh, hey, actually, I like those things, and I would like to showcase them at my store in Cape Town, right? And I need 20,000 of these made. Right? That designer does not have that kind of production line, or does not even understand how producing at that scale works. And now through this bank, what we've managed to do is not only give them starting capital and not only give them business training, we have a couple of stakeholder brands. I'm not sure if I can mention them, but you work in radio, you know you cannot.
But
Right. So we have a couple of stakeholder brands that are well known, you know, that have nationwide stores, some of them, you know, that are going to be incubating some of our designers to help them understand how does one run a massive production line, and also how does one build from a small production line towards that, and how do you raise capital, things of that nature. So we've sort of formalized the program, so to say that the developmental aspect of it for us is extremely important. That our goal is such that in the next 5 to 10 years, we want to pinpoint a specific brand that is well-renowned, that we say we had a hand in that. We might not have necessarily made it, but we played a very major role in cultivating it to the level that it is now.
I mean, listen, we're here, we're behind the vision, we like the vision. It sounds like an absolutely solid one. Let's quickly get to the good stuff as we wrap it up. So when does the Free State Fashion Week actually kick off?
So this year...
Or have I missed it already?
No, you haven't. I'm going to send you a personalized invite, Bridget. This year, we won't normally we have a week of showcasing. This year, we're going to trim it down to 1 day.
All right.
It's happening on the 9th of November. I can't announce the venue yet, but I can announce this for the first time. and this is just my spice that I added as soon as I got appointed. For the first time ever, we're going to have it outdoor. Right?
Outdoors.
Yeah, and the team is quite nervous about it because it's never been done.
Do you
before.
have a rain
Very
plan?
risky. Yeah, that's the biggest issue right now, right?
Okay.
So I'm very optimistic about it. I'm putting up measures in place to ensure that there's conducive planning around such. But I'm quite excited about it because I think aesthetically the vision that I have in my mind. And if we execute, or when we execute it right, I need to fix my language.
Yes.
When we execute it right, I think there'll be so much value in terms of the production, because I'm also big on that, right? I'm big on the fact that, yes, they're showcasing, but how do we aid the showcase to ensure that it comes to life, right? And so I'm quite excited about that. It's happening this year in Bloemfontein on the 9th of November. By the way, we only announced the date yesterday, so you're one of the first people actually, or one of the first platforms where we're sort of announcing it officially.
Lovely.
So people in the Free State right now are quite excited.
Wonderful stuff. Well, listen, Nkokeli, it seems like you have a vision there with your team, and we wish you the very best, honestly. You know, we just siyangogola amongst ourselves, but we want every region in this country to really thrive in the various sectors that it plugs into. That was Nkokeli Lindazwe, and of course he is the creative director of the Free State Fashion Week, and you can catch it in November. So now, yes.
One more thing.
One more thing.
Can I invite you guys to come through, you and your team?
I mean, listen, we can offline about, the show us the money of
the logistics.
The logistics of taking this little show on the road, but we always welcome an invite.
Okay, for sure. We'll talk about it.
Let's take a quick pause and then we come back and we have another conversation focusing on, South African musicians, born frees, so to speak, that are excelling after the democratic breakthrough.
This September, S3 brings you thought-provoking nature dockies that will change the way in which you view the world. Prince William embarks on a global mission to ensure our world is left in a better place for future generations, championing action for the natural world and showcasing pioneering local heroes. Prince William, A Planet for Us All, airs Sunday the 15th of September. Channel your inner activist with our selection of premium dockies Sundays at 5 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading lens enhancements. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Book online or call your nearest store today. Specsavers for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
Powerball is estimated at a staggering 106 million Rand jackpot this Friday. Could luck be knocking on your door? Play Powerball for an estimated 106 million Rand today and stand a chance to bag the life-changing jackpot. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Umkhonto kaShaka is fueled up to make their presence felt. However, 2016 champs Masandawana want to eliminate their neighbors from the continent's inter-club competition. This is the Southern African Derby, the second preliminary round of the Total Energies CAF Champions League. Experience great vibes of African football. Mbabane Swallows FC versus Mamelodi Sundowns FC. This Saturday, 14 September at 7:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Stages, pages, screens, and more on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
All right, so on Fridays, all the conversations that lead the nation focus on arts and culture on this particular show. We kind of dot it around during the course of the week, and then on Fridays, we really pack it in there and concentrate it over the duration of the Full Circle. We've got joining me now Writer and media practitioner Unokuthula Monaheng, and Nokuthula is the spokesperson of the Made in Mzansi Festival. How are you, firstly?
I'm well, thank you. Well,
You're awesome.
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Listen, thank you for coming through and joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Very exciting stuff, and we're going to talk about the festival in a matter of moments, the Made in Mzansi Festival. But maybe let's look at... Actually, let me begin here because I think it ties into the festival, right? Because the festival really focuses a lot on South African music culture, right?
Yeah, so it's basically a celebration of the South African heritage.
Yeah.
I think this year being the 30th anniversary of South Africa's freedom, it was basically created around that. That was the heart behind it, to celebrate the arts of South Africa, the music, the food, the fashion, and all of it. So, yeah.
Wonderful. You know, I like the culmination of when all the elements of art come together, from the food, the music, the fashion. But I particularly also like the focus on South African music at this juncture. Because it had such an interesting journey, right? And I wonder, through your work and your observations, is something that you've paid particular attention to over the years?
I think it's so first of all, I think now more than ever, you know, our local music has become so international. It's recognized all over in so many platforms, and it's so beautiful to see people internationally also celebrating our wonderful talent here.
Yeah.
So, in terms of talent, it hasn't changed. We've always been gifted, right?
Yes.
But in terms of exposure, oh my God, like it's worlds apart in terms of, yes, music used to do great back then, but now it's like so much easier for musicians to expand their music to international
what do you think it is that sort of shifted that dial? You know, and we saw that dial kind of shift, I think, post-COVID in the last, it was bubbling under leading into COVID, and then post-COVID, that dial really took like a drastic shift.
It really did.
What is it about the environment that sort of assisted or enabled that to happen?
Yeah, so I think it's the top two things I can think of. Number one is pride in identity. People are becoming very proud of who they are and their identity, and where they come from, and they just want to make it loud. You know, they like relentless or unapologetic rather. And then the second thing is the platforms have progressed so much and advanced so much, where now we have platforms like TikTok and social media, well, social media as a whole, TikTok, YouTube, and all of that, which allows them a much easier access to audiences they never had in previous years. Yeah.
So that globalization, right? The ability to, on your phone from Deep Sloot or from Wamash, you now have a reach into somebody who's in Brooklyn, New York, or someone who's in Chelsea, you know, and it feels like you're right next door.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been very interesting for me. And do you think that also speaks to, because you can have that stuff, but maybe if you don't have a generation that's ready to maximize on it, do you think it also is a reflection of the current generation right now and their own sort of chutzpah to recognize an opportunity and just jump in and take whatever they can take out of it?
Absolutely. I think the generation now, and when I say generation now, I'm probably focusing more on like the born free / Gen Z. They're a lot bolder, to be honest. Much bolder. They are like, you know what, I'm going to do this. If it fails, I'll try something else. You know, I mean, I've got younger siblings who are from that generation, and it's so different and refreshing at the same time to see that, like, one morning he wakes up and he's like, okay, fine, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it. And then it goes well. And when it doesn't, then he tries something else. And I think that's one of the things that is actually pushing, you know, the youth to do so much better now. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. As Nokuthula is using the term born free, you know, I've never had issues with the term because I think I understand it from different perspectives. Like the example you just used about your brother.
Yeah.
You know, for me, part of the meaning of being born free is having the ability to explore the freedom and everything that the freedom comes with it, the opportunities, the ability for you to decide today you are this, tomorrow you are that. And then there are people that I know, like my brother Mandla Mandela, who takes contention to it because he says, you got to understand that freedom was never free. And so like these born frees who use it as though, you were not born free because someone actually passed on and paid for you to explore the freedoms. But I take it from the latter, that it's they are born to the freedom and they can explore the freedom and enjoy it for what it is. Do you also think that that shapes their experience and their ability to navigate these spaces, especially through the musical lens, in very unique ways? Because we almost take it for granted that they are unencumbered by issues, right? And even when you look at their music or when you hear their music, it almost has a frivolity to it that's not heavied by issues and things. But are we maybe being prejudiced in how we look at them and how they express themselves in their music and what that music reflects for them?
So I think that in terms of that, they pretty much have a knowledge of the history based on what their generations before them have told them. So it's not, they know it from storytelling and not necessarily know it from experience. So I actually forgot your question. I
was basically just asking if, when we listen to, for instance, Amapiano, right? Yeah. A lot of people go, Amapiano is repetitive, and it's sort of repetitive club music that has no substance. There's no messaging. There's no agenda. But are we maybe using a very harsh lens in not understanding what they lived experiences and how they reflected in their music? Because music is a reflection of each generation, actually every artistic discipline, right? Absolutely. Kwaito was a response directly to that generation and coming through that transitional stage from apartheid, having grown up in apartheid, finding themselves as young adults in the early 1990s, being rebellious, being anti the system, being aggressive, and Kwaito came to symbolize that in its delivery, in its visualization, in the packaging of it. It was kasi, and it was that claiming of kasi. And then hip hop was, the millennials now trying to find that sort of transition in the spaces where suddenly we are post 1994 and we awakened to a few things, and we've got American television and we can consume things that are global, right? And now we're like, let's explore what that looks like. And so we went to the other side of the dial and became quite Americanized to some degree. And there was a clash between the kasi of the Kwaito and the Americanization of the hip hop before different movements came into the space, like the Mutswako movement, and then redefined what it is from a local perspective.
Right.
And then you have the kids now, Amapiano, because it's such a strong distinction of an era. That when you try to find its identity, it almost sounds and looks like it doesn't have an identity outside of groove. But maybe are we using a different lens that limits how we see it?
So I think, so maybe let me say my opinion and then I'll share a story, right?
Sure.
So I think that sometimes we are a little bit harsh. We expect the way I'm making myself sound so old, but we expect the younger generation to pretty much do as we did, and we almost forget that the experiences are different, and therefore the messaging is also going to be different, so I think one of the beautiful things about growth and generation and all of that is being able to accommodate that. I mean, a couple of years ago, actually, we had like a family gathering, and at the family gathering, khona bogogo, there's gogos there, and there's the youngsters, and then there's us, the jurings, the in-betweens, you know. And a song played, I'm telling you, it's from one of the new youngsters, and a song played, and literally us, the jurings and the younger people, we just, you know, started getting along and started jamming to this thing. And then the adults also then started joining us, you know. And I think it's a thing that we can look at, bringing people together and celebrating the newness of it, but not necessarily without having to dilute the old.
Okay.
You know, just bringing all of it together and celebrating it together, because all of it is part of, you know, the SA heritage. I don't know, 2-3 days ago, Tyler won an award for Afrobeats under the Afrobeats category. And I loved what she said. She said, you know, I'm happy for this award. Yes, thank you, whatever. It's a bittersweet moment because it's almost like, you know, there's a dilution in terms of the kind of music that, you know, I represent. I'm from South Africa, and I represent a genre specifically called Amapiano, you know, which is not necessarily Afrobeats. However, thank you, you know, and I love the fact that she was very expressive and very clear to communicate that Afrobeats and Amapiano are two different music genres. But yes, they are all from African, but you know,
there's a distinction.
It's an educational thing.
How do these sort of you know, born free musicians, the likes of the Tylers, and we love the authenticity and her bravery as well on these big global stages, like you say, to take particular stances, and sometimes we call it passive activism that's delivered softly, you know, without too much aggression, so that it can land to the audience. And how do sort of the born frees kind of bridge or broaden those social conversations that we have, the social political conversations that we have, whether amongst ourselves as Africans, because there is a raging conversation between South Africans and Nigerians about that distinction of Afrobeats and Amapiano, even amongst ourselves. You know, and we are Africans, and we understand where the two musical forms lie and where they come from in the different regions, and obviously how they amalgamate together, because there's a cross-pollination. But even we have our own weird clashes around it. And so for them as musicians, as born free musicians, how do they begin to sort of navigate those socio-political dynamics that are sort of bubbling under within what they do or what they represent?
So I think music has always been something that brings people together and that celebrates people. I'm not sure, but I think for me it's a thing of it being that, you know, it shouldn't necessarily be a situation of let's start the war because we are not this, we are that, you know. It should just be a celebration all the way, you know. Let's acknowledge the good and celebrate the good, you know. I mean, we've gone through a struggle. There's no need to be struggling again, in a different way this time. So, so it's acknowledging the differences and then celebrating other people who are doing something that is different to, you know, what you're doing. So,
All right. Listen, I think it's been an interesting conversations. And I definitely, you know, I think for older generations who listen to these conversations, as we reflect, we had another one last week, a short conversation around the music festival that's happening, that's also celebrating South African music. And we touched a little bit about this. It's always beautiful just to take a moment to pause and see how far you know, music has come in South Africa, and what each stage and era of it represented, and what it spoke to about the generations at that time. You know, we don't archive a lot in this country, so sometimes it's necessary to have these archival conversations. Let's wrap up quickly by touching base once again on the festival. So it's taking place at Freedom Park in Pretoria at the end of the month.
100% on the 28th and the 29th of September.
Mhm.
So it's a festival over 2 days. Huge lineup. We've got about 45 talent/artists
Wonderful.
who will be on stage, 3 different stages. So yeah, you can get your tickets at Web Tickets.
All right. Who's on the lineup? Tell us a little bit about the various people. Who are people? Is it a little bit of something for, like we said, those of us who grew up on Kwaito and hip hop and
Yeah, so what we've done with the lineup is that we've literally taken people from, the older generation who contributed to the celebration to people now. So on Saturday we'll have the likes of Zola Seveni, DJ Cleo, Amos, Nomfundo, like there's a lot, right? A lot more. And then on Sunday we've got Big Zulu, Langa Mavuso, Nziga, and so many more. If they want to see the lineup, it's definitely available on madeinmzansi.co.za on the website. And that's also where you can get your tickets.
Wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
Noktula, it was a pleasure meeting you. And of course, at that festival, again, happening at Freedom Park, rounding up Heritage and Tourism Month on the last weekend, 28th to the 29th. So Saturday and Sunday. And the lineup is quite cool, actually. It's a little bit nostalgic. It's a little bit current. And who wouldn't want to see Zola 7 back on stage? Listen, on the other side of 2 o'clock, we're going to welcome in studio media mogul, and of course she's got so many slashes. Humanitarian, she is currently the Miss World South Africa pageant title holder, license holder, Carol Bauer. It's a mouthful, but she'll tell us what that means. Essentially, she has the right to bring the Miss World pageant to South Africa. And she'll tell us about that. She's also a businesswoman that is into so many different ventures. And the lines will be open. So if you do want to, just have a moment with Carol, you are more than welcome to send us a message on our WhatsApp line, which is 061-410-4107. Let's take a quick pause here, and then we come back. Umadupi is standing by at 2 o'clock at the top of the hour with the 2 o'clock news.
Every person, no matter who you are, what music you're inclined to listen to, and what you do with your weekends. You need a weekend playlist. It's that musical mix of music that accompanies the lazy weekends, whether catching up with friends and family or just taking some time to reflect. Tune in to The Soundtrack of Your Life with me, Ernest Pillay, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4 on SAFM.
Hi, I'm Khomotso KG Mweketi, and I believe in music's ability to connect, to heal, to remind, and to bring joy. And each week on my Saturday and Sunday show Seasons right here on SAFM, I endeavor to do just that. So join the movement of Seasons every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's addictive. You might invite a friend. Seasons, only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide with me, KG Mweketi.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Just a reminder that Essential Cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. Simply SMS CAR to 43187 now.
The top stories at 2 o'clock. Pravin Gordhan to be laid to rest next week, and former Botswana president appears in court. A very good afternoon. The late former cabinet minister Pravin Gordhan will be laid to rest next Thursday in an official state funeral in Durban. He died early this morning following a battle with cancer. The Ahmed Kathrada Foundation's Nishan Bolton briefed the media on the funeral arrangements at the Nelson Mandela Foundation in Joburg.
The funeral will take place on Thursday in Durban, and it will be an official funeral. It will be followed by a private cremation after the funeral itself. But that further details on this would be forthcoming from government and particularly from the presidency. But it's happening in Durban on Thursday.
Family, friends and comrades have meanwhile converged at Godan's home in the north of Pretoria. Hasina Gori reports.
Godan passed on at the age of 75 at the Mill Park Hospital after battling cancer. His family surrounded him along with lifelong friends and comrades. At this stage, the body is still at the hospital and family members are awaiting the release here at his home in the north of Gauteng in Pretoria. Preparations are underway for the mourning period where prayers and condolences are expected to be received. Hasina Gori, SABC News, Pretoria.
Western Cape teachers have begun their protests against the proposed 2,400 job cuts announced by the provincial government. Several teacher protests took place on the Cape Flats today. An educator at Fairview Primary in Grassy Park, Deirdre Lodewijk, says the proposed cuts will negatively impact schooling.
Well, I feel like it really impacts us negatively all around, regardless of how many teachers need to be cut at every school. It will have a domino effect on the school in itself, because if you lose your teachers, your classes grow, the discipline falls out by the window. Just a whole lot of negative impact will incur in all schools.
Traditional healers across the Free State will hand over memorandum of demands to the health department at Bophelo House in Bloemfontein. They're marching against the marginalization and exclusion of traditional healing practices in the country's healthcare system and what they call unconstitutional regulations imposed on traditional healers. They state that they were not consulted during the drafting of the regulations, which led to policies that do not cater for them. The presiding judge in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has ordered that 2 more ballistics experts be called to the stand. The witnesses confirmed Colonel Chris Mangena's findings, linking one of the accused to the Meyiwa murder. 5 men are on trial for the 2014 killing of the Bafana Bafana captain. Judge Ratamo Kgwatleng says the witnesses should be cross-examined on their written statements. He has adjourned the case to Wednesday next week, as the witnesses will only be available then.
I see the act says they must be subpoenaed.
Yes, indeed, my lord.
Not ordered.
Should the court be inclined?
Yeah, I'm going to grant
to grant the request.
The application, because in this court, every piece of evidence must be traversed, so that nobody says, again, if we are correct. Yeah, I see it says subpoenaed, but yes. Look, I'm going to issue an order.
And former Botswana President Ian Khama has appeared before the Gaborone Magistrates Court. He's facing a number of arrest warrants issued by authorities in Botswana. Khama has applied for the court to set aside the warrants. He says the charges leveled against him are politically motivated. Kaelihle Khumalo has more.
Former Botswana President Ian Khama has been exiled in South Africa for some time. He has made a surprise court appearance in Botswana, where he wants charges against him to be set aside. Khama is facing 14 charges, including unlawful possession of a firearm and money laundering. The former Botswana president has denied the charges and accused his successor, Bridget Masinga, of masterminding the persecution against him. Masinga has also rejected the accusations. Kaelihle Khumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The top story at 2, the late former cabinet minister Pravin Gordhan will be laid to rest next Thursday in an official state funeral in Durban. The Full Circle continues for SAFM News.
And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and 1 million rand liability cover all covered by Outsurance Essential. Get a quote today by simply SMSing car to 43187. So here's the good news for you and your older car. With Outsurance Essential, a 22-year-old woman pays only 384 Rand a month for her 2012 white Kia Picanto 1.2X and gets paid cash so that she can choose her own panel beater after an accident. Get the cover that you need. Get Outsurance Essential for unfinanced cars that are older than 5 years and valued at less than 125,000. So it's time to switch and save. SMS car to 43187. That's car to 43187 today. Remember that Outsurance is a licensed FSP, and of course, T's and C's do apply.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week, and the bottom 6 are taken on a culinary trip back to school. For this challenge, they must create their dream lunchbox filled with nutritious yet delicious treats, and their creations are impressive. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
Umkhonto kaShaka is fueled up to make their presence felt. However, 2016 champs Masandawana want to eliminate their neighbors from the continent's inter-club competition. This is the Southern African Derby, the second preliminary round of the Total Energies CAF Champions League. Experience great vibes of African football. Mbabane Swallows FC versus Mamelodi Sundowns FC. This Saturday, 14 September at 7:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Sways in parabol emotions, right on time with the latest club incantation. We live for the weekend, working up the courage. We pray away, pray away, pray away the pain of not being in alignment with our dreams. Bet your life, be alive. Ain't nobody living out here. Someone is living out here. Bet your life. Go on, be alive. Ain't nobody living out here. Be someone who's living out here. Bet your life. Go on, be alive. Ain't nobody living out here. Ain't nobody living out here. Bet your life. Go on, be alive. Ain't nobody living out here. Be someone who's living out here. Bet your life. Go on, be alive. Ain't nobody living out here. Be someone who's living out here. Bet your life. Go on, be alive. Ain't nobody living out here. Be someone who's living out here. Oh, well, well, well. Well, well, well. All is well, well, well. Well, well, well. All is well, well, well. time has come and gone too soon. We live for the weekend to numb out the damage. We pray away the pain of not being in alignment with our dreams. It's your life, go and be alive. Ain't nobody living out here, ain't nobody living out here. It's your life, go and be alive. Ain't nobody living out here, be someone who's living out here. It's your life, go and be alive. Ain't nobody living out here, be someone who's living out here. It's your life, go and be alive. Ain't nobody living out here, be someone who's living out here.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
I mean, who would you like to share a seat at the table with? Like somebody you've never sat with, but you'd love to.
Wow, gosh, I can't imagine. Probably the president of Nigeria, because I'd love to really ask, what's wrong with South Africa and Nigeria, and how can we get it right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, as someone who does lots of public speaking myself, emceeing, program director, I'm always drawn to people who are so articulate, and you've always been that. I mean, how have you developed that presence?
Really, I think it's just that I've had so many opportunities, but secondly, I prepare. I don't just speak. I'm pretty fussy about what I'm going to say in public.
How would Naledi Pandor like to be remembered?
That I sought to serve our country and our people, and I never blemished the name of my family.
Naledi Pandor.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
That was a really good conversation with Ashraf and Dr. Naledi Pandor. Really, really good conversation. And I said this before, right, that I'm loving the time that she's affording everybody in these her golden years of retirement, where she has well earned the right to sort of sit back, relax, go on an endless vacation. And just really just enjoy life. But she's availed herself to everybody, to Ashraf, to, old media, new media, new young thinkers and activists. And I think that's what being in your golden years, that's what seniority gives you. It gives you the right to be able to impart knowledge, whether solicited or unsolicited. We often make reference to it as sitting at the feet of your grandmothers and grandfathers, and it's definitely some feet that have worked very hard, not just for us as South Africans, but I think broadly for Africans as well, So it's wonderful that she's just afforded everybody the time to sit in conversation and to share her stories and her experiences with us. It speaks also to that conversation we're always having around archiving our history, and archiving our knowledge. And sometimes it becomes an oral thing that one has to do as an African. So I'm here for it. I am here for it. It's just gone 2:15. And we are going to be in conversation now with trailblazing South African television mogul, really. She's gone from being a presenter, actress, to being a producer, director, an entrepreneur in various fields, venturing into the lifestyle space, where she's launched Carol Bauer bags as well as CBNL, the perfumes. So lifestyle now also inhibiting a lot of her business focus. She's a humanitarian doing some incredible work around advocating for women and girl rights around the world. She's an avid art collector and supporter, a woman of many, many slashies. Carol Bauer joins us on the line now. How are you doing this afternoon?
What's my favorite, Bridget?
Are you good?
I'm so good, my love. I'm so sorry that I didn't make it on time. I'm excited to be talking to you.
It's okay. You are forgiven. You are forgiven. Listen, let's begin there, because I feel like I just read a whole laundry list of, occupations and titles and things that through the years of Carol Bauer that you've accomplished and done. When you reflect back on, the young girl in Soweto, did you envision a world and a life that was so immensely abundant?
Bridget, I think you will understand that women come into this world highly, highly attuned to the fact that we can, whatever what that we can represents. And then the world begins to tell you that there are limitations. Unfortunately for the world, I ignored those messages, and I've always known that what I dream, I will pursue. I can't say that I always knew that I would succeed at most of it, but I certainly knew that I was giving myself permission at all times to go for it.
Who instilled that sense, Carol, that sense of believing in building the dreams and knowing that assertion of knowing that what you dream, you will accomplish? Because success can be defined in many ways, right? But the ability to see a dream from its infantile stages to its fruition is still a success.
I think growing up in an environment where you see women not limiting themselves, I think, the whole adage of if I can see it, I can be it. I think it's such an important thing, and we don't emphasize it enough. As we grow up, we see women who are doctors, we see women who are nurses, teachers, but we also saw women who were really astute broadcasters who were taken seriously in our field. I remember the Thandi Mesachwas. I remember, the Bobby's mom. So many of them. And as I watched them, I never thought what they were doing required a foreign language. I always thought that this was language that was inherent in me, and I just needed to come out and articulate myself on what I thought about the world. And whether it's in broadcasting, whether it is the work that we've done in the arts, whether it is the work that we've done in philanthropy, we are all inherently humanitarians anyway. We just need to express it.
Absolutely. I want to take a quick pause here for an ad break. It's just gone 20 past 2 o'clock, and then we'll come back and continue our conversation with Carol Bauer.
Liverpool FC have collected maximum points in their opening 3 matches of the 2024-2025 season. They want more victories.
Look at the white shirts coming here. Salah! Salah scores at Old Trafford again.
Meanwhile, Forest want to dictate terms at Anfield.
High towards the back post. Wood with a free header. Yes! 1-0 Forest. Chris scores.
This is the Premier League. Catch the spectacular clash between Liverpool FC and Nottingham Forest on Saturday, 14 September at 3:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Ashopol is over 110 years old and was born out of the desire to serve South Africans who work hard to build this country from the ground up. With over 5 million lives covered and named Best Life Insurer by Forbes, Ashopol is here for you today and will be there for your family tomorrow. SMS serve to 44366 and we'll call you back. Ashopol is an insurer licensed to conduct life insurance business, an authorized financial services provider. FSP 53. T's and C's apply. After cutting the Buccaneers' continental journey short last season, Botswana Giants, joining Galaxy, want to make beating the black and white outfit a good habit. They meet again, but Sir Rivero's boys plan to take full control at Botswana National Stadium. This is the second preliminary round of the Total Energies CAF Champions League. Experience great vibes of African football. Joining Galaxy FC versus Orlando Pirates FC this Saturday, 14 September at 4 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
We're in conversation with multi-slashy presenter, producer, entrepreneur, although the days of presenting are long behind her now, philanthropist and businesswoman Carol Bauer joins us on the line as we have a conversation, a catch-up conversation with her. We're just trying to reconnect that line again so we can continue our conversation. My producers are just trying to place the call in the meantime, but she is back. We are back connected. Okay, let's also explore, let's talk about the importance of one's impact in society, because I think a lot of people who follow you on social media, who follow your activities, who engage with your interviews, they've heard you speak quite often around the importance of one's impact in society. And is this something perhaps that you would envision or like your legacy to be centered around, the impact that Carol Bauer as a person and the Carol Bauer brand by extension has had in community and in broader South Africa?
Bridget, you and I understand that you cannot curate your legacy. Your legacy is the sum total of everything that you do on a daily basis. So I think what I do is try and live as true as possible to my feelings, to the teachings that are part of my grounding, as well as, to what I hope would inspire at least my son to live a life of purpose. I think that it's very easy to be somebody that just sort of floats through life and takes as much as possible. It's more exciting to be able to keep your hand open and see how, as you receive, you impart, what that does to open up a broader world for yourself. I mean, I was speaking at an event in Paarl recently where a very gracious lady said, all I see of you is giving, giving, giving. And I had to stop her because I needed her to understand that I have received more from giving than even what the intent of the giving was, how it has enriched my life and how it has opened up avenues that were not even fathomable for me as a young girl growing up, only because my hand remained open.
We had Thibaut Touch here last week, and, he spoke around when I asked him, how are you, as he sat in studio, and I was like, well, how are you doing today? And he said, you know what, Bridget, I am not in deficit. I can fully say that my life is not in deficit, right? It took me a moment as well of pause to just take it in. And as he expanded around gratitude and his faith and his beliefs and how these ideals that he upheld so much have brought him abundance and have filled him in so many ways and in every muscle of his being. And you've said something, I think, that touches on that as well in previous conversations. You've said that it's very easy for you, and I'm paraphrasing, but almost verbatim. You said it's very easy for you to live in a place of gratitude. And I wonder, from your perspective, what does that mean and what do you attribute that to?
It's to a lot of things, Bridget, but fundamentally, I came into this world just imbued with hopefully natural gifts. And in this world, I've been able to express those gifts uninhibited, no matter what challenges I've faced, and I've faced many. I have never looked at challenges and thought, you're the one going to finish me. I've always understood my gifts, I've always understood my capacity, and I've always had an appreciation of the fact that I am never put at a place where God does not meet me. And because of that, I never walk through the world with a sense of lack. You can take away every single thing that looks like it matters in my life. You can take away whether it's resources, you can take away houses and cars and you name it, but the essence of who I am is absolutely untouchable because I am never in question about what it is.
That segues me, in just the few moments that we have, in about the 2 minutes we have before the headline news, it segues me into people's various perceptions of you and your life. And, and I guess you've just answered, because I was going to ask you, if that matters at all, or if there was ever a point in your life where that did matter at some point, and then maybe the older that you got and the more you became affirmed in your various roles as mother and wife, and obviously coming into your essence as Carol the woman, perhaps it's changed at some point?
I think as you're growing up, and especially because for need of work, I did acting. I was in Generations, I was in Benzeni, and many others which were hugely popular. And because of that, there's a lot of feedback that is very positive from the world. And when you encounter the first feedback that is, in contrast with the positivity you've always enjoyed, I think you begin to question things. Who am I? Why are they saying this? This is not who I am. But it's very important as you respond to that you begin to use that as a platform to define yourself, evaluate yourself, be introspective, and really get to a point where you do know who you are. So the positive feedback does nothing to you, as well as the negative feedback. People can say whatever they want. What really matters is what happens in your head, in your mind, in your heart, when you engage yourself about who you are. And when that is absolutely clear, it matters not, what is happening externally. And I don't say that out of disrespect for the validation that is so beautiful that people choose to give, but ultimately you welcome it as a reflection of their own state rather than a reflection of you.
Dr. Maya Angelou has some colloquial words around that, and she infamously said, don't pick it up and don't put it down. Let's pause there for the headline news, and then we'll come back on the other side. I want to touch on, of course, Miss World, which is coming up, and just reflect a little bit as well on your role as Dante's mama and find out what that journey has been like for you. It's 2:30. Madupi Makhalemele is standing by.
Thank you very much, Sister Bridge, and a very good afternoon. In your headlines this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa says the signing of the Basic Education Laws Bill into law is an affirmation of the vision of an equal society to which Pravin Gordhan dedicated his life. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tommy Mtombeni says they've arrested more than 65,000 people for various crimes, including murder, robbery, and sexual offenses between April and June this year. And China has announced that it'll raise the age at which people retire as it looks to temper a looming demographic crisis. I'll be back with a full news update at the top of the hour.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
When did you know that you were famous?
The line made me famous. Everywhere I turned, people recognized me. And I hadn't expected it to happen yet, but it was just happening. Yeah, the line started it all.
Really?
Yeah.
That was Vusi Kunene.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
That was Full Access. About, 2 weeks ago, we're talking to a veteran actor, Vusi Kunene, joined us in studio. And maybe before I get to Dante, but I can almost guess the kind of answer that you're going to give me on this. But I'm going to ask you anyway, because before you were a businesswoman, you were a media and television personality. So when did Carol Bauer know that she was famous? Your mama, I made it moment.
You know, it's so interesting that you've just played that with Vusi. So I did a series a few years ago where Vusi played my husband. It was a political series, and I had to bury Vusi in the series. And I remember him from the Line days with Grace. South Africa has evolved in interesting ways. I think I knew that there was fame when I would be, driving somewhere and I'd realize that there's attention, and then suddenly having to maybe sign autographs. I think working with Nimrod and Gosi on the lottery also it just created a new level of fame that obviously you know me well, Bridget. It's something I'm uncomfortable with. It's not who I am. And we would go into these spaces, and because Nimrod is such a star, people would flock to him, and then I would sort of vicariously become this famous person because now they're beginning to recognize me as well. I loathed it because I'm intrinsically shy, but I had to open myself up and understand that I pay my bills because of the very people who were rushing towards me, and I'm receiving love. I'm not receiving an intrusion. The only thing is that I don't have the DNA to know how to process it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'll give you a gold star for the fact that you actually answered that question, because knowing you, I was expecting you to give me a very demure, Carol, come on now, let's not talk about fame. So I love that you actually answered it. Let's reflect a little.
We don't desire it and we don't covet it.
Yes.
However, we acknowledge the grace that's come from people.
Absolutely. So your son Dante just graduated from a business school, if I'm not mistaken, out in the UK, and of course he's your pride and joy. For those who follow you on social media, you're very private about a lot of elements of your life, but from time to time you give little snippets and little glimpses. What's that been like, being Dante's mom, and the journey and the teachings for you as a woman, and of course as a woman within the context of South Africa raising a boy child, and then if we add in the element as well as being a woman who is a public figure, and so a lot of times even your private life being scrutinized under a lens that an ordinary person would not understand, and by extension your family also comes under that kind of scrutiny, and your children who don't invite it, but it's it's a consequence of who mom is.
By the way, you've always had the art of conversation.
Thank you.
I have to say, being Dante's mom has been evolutionary. It's been one of those things that really, at different points of his life and mine, of course, has evolved me, has made me more conscious of, him as a person rather than him in relation to me. He's hugely private. I'm discovering that he's got this effervescent personality that I never even knew existed. And I think as he finds himself and as he articulates to the world who he is, outside of this mother who has tried to be a hen with very little success, he truly has taught me how to interact with him. And from childhood, I mean, people would come up to Dante, chat to him, and sort of play around with his hair, and his eyes would tell me exactly what I needed to do in that moment. He's never rude, but he always looks at you in a way that even tempers your behavior around him. He knows who he is. He is hugely loving. He's highly analytical, and I've just learned so much about the world through his eyes, and I've learned a lot about just prominence through his eyes. and how you can gracefully go through a world that recognizes you without being consumed by it and without feeling uncomfortable about any of it. Just maintaining your core at all times.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm so respectful in terms of how I share about him and at what times I do open up about him. And what I share about Edward as well. I think I've married somebody who has really been highly influential in the kind of son we have. So both of them are happy to be celebrated, but they're also happy to be allowed to start of any influence from me.
Absolutely. Let's get into your next venture because you've done a lot. You've launched Carol Bauer bags, which are absolutely exquisite. Luxury bags, luxury, leathered bags and all kinds of fabulous skins. And then you've also launched CBNL perfumes, which smells divine. And interesting spaces that you've sort of evolved into as a businesswoman because they still sort of entertainment adjacent, but quite different from sort of where you mastered the art of being Carol.
I think the big thing for me is I grew up in an environment where there were doctrines around who we were meant to be. Yet when I looked at the women I admired, they never listened to those. They went for everything that they wanted. They were never told by the world what the limitations needed to be. So I enjoy luxury. I grew up totally unawares that I didn't even have access to luxury because I'm the kind of person that appreciates everything that's given to me. You can go to Jet stores now and get me a T-shirt. If it fits me beautifully, it's the most luxurious thing in my life at that moment.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to access the different tiers of luxury, giving myself permission at all times within my means. And I want that for those I love and for my people. So the perfume, it's oud, it's myrrh, it's jasmine, it's all the different elements that we all love. Yet when you look at products that carry all of that, so few are able to access it. And I think that I for many years have seen myself as part of that so few. So I've given myself permission to go for everything that I desire. I love beautiful bags. There's a point at which sometimes I could not buy that Hermes because I couldn't justify the price. I could not buy that Prada, but I felt that I wanted to access that level of luxury. So I needed to create it at an affordable price for our people. And I realized that even saying affordable, it is limited. Not everyone can afford a Carol Bauer bag, but at least a chunk of people that coveted an even more expensive bag could access this one because, it's made here at home, and also it's part of making sure that we are contributing to the creation of jobs here at home.
Absolutely. So you are the license holder of the Miss World South Africa pageant. And last year we touched base with the first winner of Miss World South Africa. And you are gearing up for the second season of the pageant. How's that journey been? How's it been being in that space? Because that's also advocating for women, but from a different perspective.
I mean, it's one of the most rewarding journeys of my life, and I'm going to sound weird saying this, but it does feel weird for me because I never really, and I say this now with a lot of respect for people in pageantry, I never really respected this field. I just felt like you're parading yourself for what? Just so sit down, we are all pretty, you don't need to try and shine higher than the rest. But I do understand now, working in this space, the importance of what these beauty queens do and the impact that they have on society, and the fact that they're not just going around and hugging babies, and talking world peace. They're actively ensuring that, yes, peace is obtained through various activations that they undertake. They are promoting harmony, they're promoting social cohesion, they're promoting leadership in society by just role modeling it in their own lives. I mean, the fact that these 10 finalists each run their own philanthropic organizations that can tangibly be measured. We know what difference they're making in society. We know who's benefiting from what they're doing. It is auditable. And I think for me, they are such an inspiration. We spent the day with Dr. Esther Mahlangu yesterday, and just watching them interact with royalty and holding their own and being as regal and royal themselves, but also just making sure that the children in the community in Kwamhlanga were seeing people that looked like them, that have gone and gotten the education required for them to say they want to take up leadership spaces, but beyond just the education, that whose demeanor is also of people who want to build, who want to give back, who want to carry society along. I cannot wait to send one of them to the world to represent us at Miss World South Africa. And I can unequivocally say it doesn't matter who wears the crown on the 5th of October. They have all done the work. And I thank my team, from the judges, from, Ria Malachi, who's our head judge, who's ensured that the tools required for leadership have been imparted.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk forever in a day, but they tell me we have to wrap it here now. So October 5th is when, of course, the inaugural Miss World South Africa, Queen Claude, is going to be handing over her crown to her successor. Do we have details yet as we wrap up our conversation as to where the pageant is going to be held? And, of course, where people can go support their girls?
Now, you know that we had to take it back to the home of pageantry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are returning, thanks to Sun International, to Sun City. We have it at the Super Bowl. And if you were to see the number of gray hairs I've grown, because of just how mammoth the task is, but it fills me with so much joy to know that we can return it to where pageantry has really bloomed in South Africa over the years. 30 years ago, I stood on that stage as a presenter of Miss World in Africa, as a contributor to the Miss World pageant, and I return now as a license holder. It feels just surreal.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. So 5th of October, we have a date in Sun City. Carol Bauer, we thank you for the time. That was Carol Bauer, South African businesswoman, entrepreneur, and of course, the license holder of the Miss World South Africa pageant. And that second installment of the pageant is going to be hosted on the 5th of October in Sun City. It's always a great weekend, and you can log on to www.missworld.sa.com if you want to see the profiles of all the ladies that are heading out to Sun City. And of course, if you want to throw your support behind your hometown favorite. Let's take a quick pause here and then we come back and we wrap up the show.
Kickstart your journey to success in 2025 with the Durban University of Technology. DUT offers programs in the faculties of Accounting and Informatics, Applied Sciences, Arts and Design, Engineering and the Built Environment, Health Sciences and Management Sciences, open for applications for 2025. Applications close on 30th September 2024, but dates may vary. Visit dut.ac.za for a full list of available programs and entry requirements. Apply now through the Central Applications Office by visiting cao.ac.za.
Devastated by the brutal murder of his wife, John Luther returns in the second season of Luther to policing in a different world. With his old unit gone, Luther finds himself working in the newly created Serious and Serial unit, headed by former police complaints officer Martin Schenk. And now, a strange and mysterious masked man wanders the streets of London, carrying out ritualistic murders in historic locations, working his way up to one final masterpiece. Immerse yourself in a world-class drama with Luther Season 2, Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Starts Tuesday the 10th of September on S3. Channel your inner drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Catch Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week, and the bottom 6 are taken on a culinary trip back to school. For this challenge, they must create their dream lunchbox filled with nutritious yet delicious treats. And their creations are impressive. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
The students, UJ ladies, want to ensure that they secure 3 points to stay close to the heels of second-place UWC ladies. However, Copperbelt ladies plan to fasten their belts tight and escape from the bottom half. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Catch them Zanzi Queens of the beautiful game. UJ Ladies FC versus Copperbelt Ladies FC on Saturday, 14 September at 11 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Sometimes when we do this show, we think to ourselves that, how are we ever going to fill 2 hours, 5 days a week? And then we get it done every single day. and then on some days you just go, we don't have enough minutes in the day. We need more minutes, But it's the beauty of doing a live show. There's a lot of elements that happen behind the scenes that you're unawares of. Right now, though, we're about to get into Nalibali. So if you got the kids in the car and you are running the errand or going somewhere fabulous, this is their moment to enjoy some of our children's content and programming. Nalibali coming through.
And welcome to Nali Bali. By listening to stories on the radio, it helps you build your listening skills. Listening to a story is a great way for you to learn new words, build your literacy skills, and increase language retention rates. There are even a lot of children who are struggling readers who can dramatically improve their reading level by listening to a story on the radio. By listening to a story on the radio, you train yourself to pay attention for longer amounts of time. That way, you'll have an easier time focusing on other tasks in the classroom and in the future. It's time to listen to a story. Today's story is called What Miss Green Said, written by Jason van Rensbeck. But before we listen to today's story, let's all get up and... dance! Once upon a time, there were 3 children who were neighbors. They were best friends even though they were not of the same age. Sam was the oldest, Liam was the youngest, and Maya was in the middle. Every afternoon, they played together after school. One windy afternoon, Maya said,
"This is the perfect weather to fly a kite."
Oh, yes, it is. I'm not sure where my kite is, though, but I'll try to find it.
Liam said,
"It's all right. I'll make you a new one if you can't find yours. Now let's get our kites. We'll meet at my house in 10 minutes.
Sam said, Sam found his rainbow kite. Maya found her bright red kite with a long yellow and orange tail. and Liam was very happy because he found his shiny purple and green kite under his bed. 10 minutes later, the friends met at Sam's house.
Let's go and fly our kites on the field. Let's go. Yeah.
Soon, Sam, Maya, and Liam were lost in the magic of flying their kites. Their colorful kites danced in the wind in a blue, cloudless sky. The children laughed as they raced to keep up with their soaring kites. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind swept across the field. The wind tugged at their kites, snapped the strings, and blew them away. The kites landed with a crash in a nearby backyard.
Oh, no. Our kites have landed in Miss Green's backyard.
Exclaimed Maya.
Oh no! I've heard that she's a witch who makes potions and casts spells.
Liam added.
I've heard that too. But let's try to reach our kites without actually going into Miss Green's backyard.
Suggested Sam. The children stood at the edge of Miss Green's yard.
I'm too scared to go into her backyard.
Maya said in a shaky voice.
Ew! The yard is such a mess.
Said Liam.
Oh no! A kite's broke one of Mrs. Green's windows!
Exclaimed Sam, pointing at a broken down house. The children's kite lay under a dusty window with a brand new crack in it.
We can't reach our kites without going into the yard.
Said Maya.
Oh no. I hope she's not so angry about the broken window. Then she casts spells on us.
Stammered Liam. Sam turned to his friends.
Okay, guys, we need to be brave. I'm the oldest, so I'll knock on the front door.
Sam walked up the path to the door. Maya and Liam followed close behind. Sam knocked on the door. The door creaked loudly as Miss Green opened it. She had a big stick in her hand and stared at the frightened children.
Excuse us,
said Sam.
We're very sorry, but the wind blew our kites into your yard and they cracked a window.
To the children's surprise, Miss Green smiled warmly and said,
Oh, no need to worry, my dears. Accidents happen and windows can be fixed. Let's fetch your kites. Follow me.
Sam, Maya, and Liam smiled, especially when they saw that the big stick was actually Miss Green's walking stick. She wasn't a witch. She was a kind old lady. As they followed Miss Green through the house, the children saw how neglected it was. They fetched their kites and started to leave, but Maya hesitated.
Miss Green, would it be okay if we came back another day to help you with your house and your yard?
She asked. It was Miss Green's turn to look surprised. She smiled and said,
Of course, my dears. You're welcome anytime.
The next afternoon, Sam, Maya, and Liam returned to Miss Green's house. She was pleased to see them. Liam said,
I'm very good at cooking, so I can clean the kitchen spotless and make you a wonderful meal.
Maya added,
Ooh, I'm good at gardening, so I can tidy your backyard.
I'm good at making and mending things, so I can fix the broken window and anything else that needs to be repaired.
Sam explained.
I don't know where it is. I'm still using the soap.
Oh, I found the brush. Oh, wait. Have you guys seen the duster?
Nah, I haven't seen it yet.
I need the broom, guys.
Let's just start cleaning.
Okay.
The children were very busy. Liam prepared a delicious meal for Miss Green. Maya trimmed the plants, cleared the weeds, and swept up the dead leaves. Sam fixed the window, squeaky door, and a wobbly table. When they had finished, Miss Green got up and stood in front of each child in turn. She started with Sam.
Sam, I predict that one day the world will praise you for your fine work with your hands.
Sam's chest swelled with pride. Then Miss Green turned to Maya.
Maya, your hands tend the plants with love. I predict the earth itself will reward you for your hard work.
Maya blushed as the words warmed her cheeks and heart. Finally, Miss Green turned to Liam and said,
Oh, how can I forget about you, Liam? What a kind heart you have. I predict people will taste the love in the food you make.
Liam grinned from ear to ear. From that day, the three children visited Miss Green regularly. They helped to look after her home and yard. They spent time talking and laughing with her, and they learned from her wisdom. As the children grew older, they moved away. Sam became a skilled craftsman, Maya became a well-known botanist, and Liam became a brilliant chef. Miss Green's predictions all came true. And so we come to the end of another Nali Bali story time. Today's story was called What Miss Green Said, written by Jason van Rensberg. Did you know that reading and telling stories to children at home can help them do better at school? If you want free stories to read to your children or for your children to enjoy on their own, visit Nali Bali website www.nalibali.org or Mobi site www.nalibali.mobi. You will find stories in 11 South African languages, as well as tips for reading and sharing stories with your children to grow their potential. Also look out for the bilingual Nali Bali Reading for Enjoyment supplements with great children's stories and activities available in newspapers. Nali Bali, it starts with a story.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. The Chill Zone with Bertha Charuma.
So you've worked in quite a number of, a series, Wednesday, for instance, on Netflix, Miss Littlewood. Maybe some of the highlights, some of the pivotal series that really stand out for you. Which ones are those?
I think for me, one of the roles that I got that I was really proud of was The Colour Purple. And that was The Colour Purple, the original European premiere production with my dear friend Cynthia Erivo playing Miss Seeley, which of course went later to Broadway. But I played Miss Sophia in that role. That felt like a really pivotal point for me. It was such a medley of black soul and black history.
That's Sophia Nombete, a trailblazer with South African pride.
Bertha Charuma. Fridays, 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. SAFM.
As we wrap up the show today, by the way, it's Friday the 13th. And they say it is the unluckiest day on earth. I don't know about that. A lot of people hold the superstition and the belief that bad things happen to them when Friday the 13th comes around. Interestingly enough, though, is if you do a Google search, you'll be hard-pressed to find the origins of the superstition. There's nothing that really points to how Friday the 13th came to have the reputation that it has. With that sort of in the back of your mind, I hope, though, that you've had a great Friday. We certainly have had a great Friday on the show. We're off to enjoy the weekend. We'll see you on Monday. If you are traveling on the roads, be safe. And, of course, inshallah, God willing, we do it again.
Thanks, Sister Bridge. Happy weekend to you. The top stories at 3 o'clock. Ramaphosa also pays tribute to Pravin Gordhan and China to raise the retirement age. A very good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the signing of the Bella Bill into law is an affirmation of the vision of an equal society to which the late Cabinet Minister Pravin Gordhan dedicated his life. He said this during the signing ceremony at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. Ramaphosa, who expressed his condolences to the ANC struggle stalwart, says he was able to visit Gordhan last night on the eve of his passing.
Pravin Gordhan dedicated his life to the struggle for the freedom of our people. He fought to liberate this country from the shackles